Alright, welcome to Doozer shop. I want to draw on the marker board a little example of how I solved a problem with the Cleereman drill press. It was about a gear. There's a gear on the end of the motor called a pinion gear that meshes with a larger gear, a bull gear call it, inside the transmission. And setting the gear lash and the gear spacing was hard to do because there's nothing to measure by and whatever. But let me show you what I did here. Let me draw the motor, okay? Just okay, and over here we'll show you the shaft, and on the shaft is the pinion gear, okay, and we'll draw some teeth on there. This is very cartoony, my apologies. And that's the gear, I'm concerned about to mesh with another gear, okay? And this would be the bull gear inside the transmission, all right? It's a little bit bigger inside the transmission of the drill press. And there's bearings, and there's another transmission with other gears over here. So this here is the area I was concerned about to set the lash or the mesh, basically how tight this motor shaft is to this shaft. And there's an alignment situation there. So what the motor has is it's got mounting bolts, of course, 4 mounting bolts, mounting screws, and what they're attached to is like these 1 inch or 1 1/8 threaded like jack screws, okay? So you can adjust the height of the motor and the pitch and the yaw of the motor to some small extent. And here is let's call it the plate, on the drill press where this is attached to, and these are threaded. And there's jam nuts on here and whatever. So these 4 jack bolts, I'm kind of just showing a side view, allow the motor to be going up and down and pitch it a little bit up and a little bit down. Not a lot, but maybe 10-20 thousandths. So that all controls here how this pinion gear meshes with the bull gear that's inside the transmission of the drill press, headstock or whatever you want to call it. So not knowing the gear lash, the mesh, and I got manuals I downloaded, there's nothing about it. So what I did was I used a piece of paper, actually. Let me steal it. Basically, I used a Post-it note folded in half, okay? And this is my contact pattern of the gears. And all I did is, it's just folded in half to give me the thickness. So the paper is 4 thou. Folded in half is 8 thousandths of an inch. and you know, gave me a pretty good even contact pattern. Oops. Kind of see, there you go. The light hits it right. So that's what I was kind of working with right inside here. So what I did is I put the paper in between the two gears that I was trying to get a mesh distance, but it also had to be parallel, right? It couldn't be wonky. So to get that parallel, what I did is I dropped, I loosened, I slackened off, whatever you want to say, these adjuster jacks, these adjuster screws. And what I did is, so then the gears are meshing with the paper in between. So pretend my marker is the motor. The shaft of the motor and the gear was solely resting on the gears touching together with the post-it note paper of 8 thousandths gap. So then I used the machine level, okay? So let me draw a level over here. So I established that my base plate of the motor and the table of the machine was level, right? With a very precision, I use a Starrett 98 level, okay? And this motor, it's a nice motor. It's a totally enclosed fan cool motor, and it has an extruded aluminum body with the cooling fins. So it's got a nice flat as opposed to cast top, right? It's got a rather level here, my cartoon levels. And there's the bubble. So I used that level after the machine, of course, was leveled. Use that level to set, well, the parallel plane of the motor. So again, I loosened the bolts, I loosened the height adjusters, and the motor was just resting right there with the paper in there. So I watched the level bubble and I jacked up this back one, right? So I rose the back up until the motor was reading level with the level I had on top of it, with the bubble. And then I knew this gear was parallel with this gear. The teeth were parallel. And I had the gap of 8 thousandths with the paper. And then I just kept an eye on that bubble. And I rose up I tightened the front adjuster on the height screw till it just touched. You can see the bubble just started to move. So I knew that I was still within, this Starrett 98 is so sensitive. You just watch that bubble, and if it quivers a little, and you can just tell that the front is adjusted, just barely touching. And I did the front and the back, and so then there's jam nuts on these, right? There's like jam nuts on the bottoms. And I lock the jam nuts, so that's set. And then I, tighten the bolts that hold the motor down, 3/8 coarse thread bolts to these jack bolts. And that's it. And that worked. So if this isn't right, the mesh is not correct. The machine is, when you turn it on, boy, the gears are loud. And just that, it's just terrible. But now it's good. So, just wanted to show you that, how I solved the problem of the gear mesh. And this is like a situation a machine repairman or a millwright would be involved in trying to solve. A millwright, if you don't know, is a mechanic that specializes in keeping the mill up, and nowadays call it a factory, keeping the factory running. But they call them millwrights because it was typically, grain mills, flour mills, textile mills, all that kind of stuff. So that's it. This is kind of I tried adjusting it by ear, and it run the motor slow with the VFD and try to, no, it wouldn't work. And the proof is in my contact pattern on the actual paper looked pretty good. If it was too tight, it would cut the paper on one side or the other. It would just nip the paper right in half on the tips of the teeth. So that's how I did it. I wanted to share that with you guys. A couple machine tools like shapers have gear to gear, sometimes direct drive shapers. Some of the old American Tool Works lathes had direct drive motors. Some of those had phenolic gears or rawhide gears. But that's how I solved it, and I'm quite proud of figuring this out because the drill press is so loud. All right, getting long. Doing another video, I'll show you the final drill press. Doozer shop.